organs, etc., until they've organised themselves into good health again. And of course it's easy to see that other people's minds operate in this way. It's comparatively much harder, however, to become aware that one's own mind is working that way also. To take a notorious example from the late 1960s, there was a point when 3 research groups had proven that LSD causes chromosome damage, while 3 other groups had proven that LSD has no effect on the chromosomes whatsoever. In each case, the prover proved what the thinker thought. And there were seven experiments in physics, 7 experiments that confirmed a very controversial concept known as Bell's theorem, and 2 experiments that refute Bell's theorem in the area of extrasensory perception, ESP. Results are uniform after more than a century. Everyone who set out to prove that ESP exists succeeded, and everyone who set out to prove that ESP does not exist also succeeded. So truth or relative truth emerges only after decades of experiments by thousands of groups all over the world. Now, if you let that sink in for a minute, truth, truth can be something changeable based on future information. It's an easy thing to say, it's another thing to do, but keeping an open mind to all things is crucial. It prevents you becoming too dogmatic, too set in your beliefs. The number of things that have been taken as truth or fact, even since I was at school, various archaeological or geographical or historical facts quoted to me at the time have subsequently been changed as new information has become available. And I'm reminded of a few teachers from my school days, only too well to, along with the fear of God, instill in you their beliefs in a particular fact or truth, only for me to find out years later that that's no longer a fact or truth. And it's important that we realize that this is potentially affecting all of us, regardless of the belief. You're convincing yourself that a particular point or aspect of a point is exactly as you see it, and nothing, no matter what's shown to you or what's said to you, is going to change your mind. You have to realize that you've just fixed yourself into a belief structure that might not fit with others, and that's how conflict comes about. Realizing that as individuals we do have our own individual versions of what we perceive as being fact or truth, and another person seeing exactly the same thing will be interpreting that fact or that truth in just a slightly different way to you, maybe more than a slightly different way. But if you realize that we all do that, you can become a little bit more tolerant when you're engaging these people that have a different belief structure to you. The author I'm referring to, by the way, is a guy called Robert Anton Wilson, Raw, R-A-W, who's kind of a philosopher, I guess, but he didn't really see himself too much that way. He just sees himself as another person going through life and trying to be aware of as much of life as he could. And one of his sayings that sticks in my mind when I'm trying to remind myself that we might all not be working from the same belief tunnel, is that the map is not the territory. The map itself is not the territory itself. The menu that you read before you eat your food in a restaurant doesn't taste like the food. I'm not sure if I'm losing you here, but basically realizing that what may be laid out in front of you as fact or as a truth may only be the person that's laid out those facts interpretation of what they think is the truth. It doesn't necessarily have to fit with yours, and certainly not if you've got reasons of your own to believe otherwise. But if we keep in our minds all the time that we all entertain slightly differing views on the same subject, the same topic, the same specific item even, how we've experienced life up to this point affects how our mind perceives things. And if we've all got unique aspects to our makeup, which we do, we share a lot in common, but we all have unique characteristics that go into our current makeup. It's very important to realize that no two people are exactly the same. It's just a generalization to say that they are. We're completely unique because there's no way has anyone else experienced and interpreted the situations that they've encountered throughout their lives in exactly the same way. We all view it slightly differently, and that slightly different view is built upon, and we end up with the mindsets that we have now. Being aware of that will hopefully allow some of us to be a bit more tolerant of others, and in so doing keep arguments to a minimum. There's nothing wrong with a full-blooded discussion, but it doesn't take much to prevent a discussion from developing into an argument if you keep an open mind to the fact that whatever your reality or version of reality might be, if it's conflicting with others, you knowing that that's allowable. It's not necessarily a mistake. I mean, who's to say what really is and what really isn't? Science, for all its apparent objectivity, is still conducted by ordinary human beings that are subject to the same rights and wrongs as the rest of us. Galileo, he was demonized not just by the church but by his peers as well, other scientists of the time. Scientists, being human beings, will be bringing into their scientific work, just as that LSD research proved, or the ESP research proved, their own versions of reality. And if you take in a preconceived belief into a scientific experiment, in some way it's going to affect it. So all I'm saying really is that things that are given to us as fact, and in relation to the discussion tonight about vaccines, that some people, medically qualified people, will stand there and defend to the bitter end, is only because their version of reality hasn't been introduced to this alternative version. And when I say alternative, I'm not demonizing the word. I mean, I'm sure I'm not, but often the mainstream media does. Alternative doesn't mean anything other than that. Something different. It's not in itself saying it's right or wrong, but what I've done over the years is make myself aware of the alternative medicines and therapies available to us. As far as the vaccination one goes, if there was a pandemic that we're being led to believe that we're about to be in again, I heard the Prime Minister of England saying something to that effect not that long ago, and the vaccination program is being ramped up. Maybe not so much on the mainstream currently, but behind the scenes it's being rolled out. You don't want to get the flu, come and get the vaccine. Well, knowing what most of us know about the vaccine, we're not going to go anywhere near that. But let's just say, for example, that because of our immune systems not being as fit and healthy as they should be, because we're denied the full quota of our nutrients that we need to keep our immune systems fit and healthy, what else have we got in the way of alternatives that don't assault the immune system as vaccinations do? Well, I can tell you my particular alternative medicine of choice in that regards, which should, in my honest opinion, be the mainstream's medicine, and that's homeopathy. I'm sure a lot of the listeners are already aware of homeopathy. What some non-practicing members that might be aware of homeopathy but haven't actually used it might not be aware of is the relative ease, at least currently, at which you can avail yourself of the homeopathic remedies. You don't have to learn to prepare them yourself, although it's not a bad thing to be doing, making yourself aware of how to prepare a homeopathic remedy for what may well be coming down the pipeline, who knows when, but it's a good thing to make yourself aware of. However, at the moment you can go into the likes of Boots the Chemist and buy homeopathic remedies straight off their shelves. Not the full range, but certainly a wide enough range. The last time I was in, around about Christmas time, I just had a look to check, and there's still a fair old spread of homeopathic remedies. And for those of you that don't know, homeopathy's been with us for about 200 years, and in every major crisis it's proved itself time and time again to be the most effective means of combating any large disease outbreak when compared with the orthodox hospitals at the time. And in the UK we actually have several homeopathic hospitals. There's 2 or 3 in London alone, I think. And I don't know if it's still the case, but you certainly were able to ask your GP for referral to a homeopathic practitioner or hospital for treatment. I do know the media's gone out of its way to try and divert people's attention away from homeopathy. I don't know if you guys seen it, but broadcast widely over our screens on the BBC and Sky. What is it with those guys? Showing groups of people standing outside Boots the Chemist after having gone in and bought the vials of the homeopathic remedies, which in this form are like little pilules. They're basically sugar pills, but not placebos. They're sugar pills that have medication dripped over them. And these guys were outside being filmed, as anyone who wants to protest would be, of course, by the BBC, who at the drop of a hat will come out and interview you whenever. The BBC displayed in glorious Technicolor these people downing the entire bottles of these remedies to prove to everyone watching how ineffective homeopathy was as a medicine, and I'm sure it did its job sufficiently. The BBC is watched by millions, just in our countries, and most of those millions would have seen that, and that'd be the last interest they ever have in homeopathy. Well, anyone that does a little bit of research into homeopathy would quickly come to realise that in actual fact all those people have done is given themselves one dose. Unlike orthodox medicine, where swallowing a bottle of pills would put you into hospital, the homeopathic principle sees that as one dose, albeit maybe a larger than normal dose, but taking them all at the same time is just giving yourself one dose. Take one of those pilules every 30 minutes until you finish the bottle, and then let's see the BBC cameras monitor the symptoms that those people would have brought on. The very symptoms these remedies are designed to nullify if you overdo it on a homeopathic remedy, you can end up bringing on the very symptoms the remedy is designed to cancel out. Having said that,